Hey guys, this is Dinosaur, and today I'm gonna show you guys how to draw basic dinosaur feet, and specifically theropod dinosaur feet. And a theropod dinosaur was I'm sorry, theropod dinosaur are basically um, dinosaurs that walked on 2 feet. So I'm just gonna get my camera right. This drawing was actually, this tutorial was actually requested by Anthony Likes Dinosaurs, or Anthony Likes Dinos, that's the correct way. Alright, so let's get a piece of paper. The very first thing that you need to pay attention to when you're gonna draw dinosaur feet is that, for example, a human leg actually was kind of like this. I'm gonna draw it and then erase it again. So the human leg kind of goes like this, and then this is the knee, this is the shin, and then we kind of have our foot right here. So this is our entire kind of foot, like that. Not sure if you can really see it very clearly, but on dinosaurs, this part of their feet are actually standing up in the air. So they are actually standing on their toes. For example, a dinosaur would be, if you want, let's say a person is just standing upright, it would look like this. Maybe even a little bit more like this, because the weight has to be kind of divided in the middle. So this would be a person standing. But when a dinosaur stands, you can't just draw it the same way for like a line down and then his shin, and then just draw it like this. Because when you draw it like this, it means that the dinosaur will probably tip over, because there's more weight in front of his knee. I mean, let's say that his knee always has to be above the point where his toes are touching the ground, unless you are drawing in the dynamic pose. For like example, he is leaning forward right now, so he's running. This will make kind of a running effect. So you might draw another leg like this. If you know what I'm trying to say. So you have to know the anatomy of the leg that you're trying to draw. And so that's actually the first thing that you need to know. So if you're drawing a dinosaur that's actually standing still, then first you need to draw the hip. This will be the hip, kind of. And then you need to pay attention to where his feet is going to touch the ground, because this needs to be kind of a straight line, so that the center of gravity will actually be in the middle. So it will be perfectly balanced. So that means that you have to draw his upper leg, I think his thigh, then draw his shin bone. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing everything right. Then draw kind of this part of his foot, and then you can kind of draw his foot like this. So right now it's not completely perfectly centered. Well, actually, you have to pay attention to where his knee is actually. So he's kind of leaning a little bit forward, so normally I would have to make the knee like this if he was actually standing still. So that's actually kind of the point of gravity right there. So now it's kind of balanced on this point over there. Right, so that's also something that is pretty good to know. So now that we know how to draw the anatomy of a theropod dinosaur, we could actually start drawing some muscle shapes in it. So for example, for example, you draw the hip again. So normally what I do is draw a kind of a circle for where his back and where the rest of his body will go, and then just draw an oval or a little circle for where his hip will be, and attached to that will be his leg. So okay, so now that we know the anatomy of the theropod dinosaur, we can start adding muscles. So for example, you might want to kind of draw this line with a curve, but to do that you could just draw a couple of circles everywhere, and over here as well. I might have to actually make it a little bit darker so you guys can see it a little bit more clearly. But normally when you would do this, you shouldn't go too dark, because if you go too dark, you can't erase it anymore, and you don't want your dinosaur to look like this, obviously. And over here there's just a huge circular muscle like this, and then we have kind of a bump over here. So it's kind of starting to take shape, and this actually doesn't really touch this that much. And over here would be his knee, and if I look at it, it's not really looking too well. So you could maybe just draw like a very big oval. It would be a lot harder actually, but yeah, you just have to get used to drawing them. Just practice a lot, and eventually you will get them right. So now we have the thigh, the shin, and I'm not sure what the anatomically names are, but yeah, you have this part of this huge muscle over here just by drawing in a circle. So that's all you really have to do to get that right, and the circle has to be pointed more backwards and going in front. Just a tiny bit of this circle is going in front of his bone structure. And then between this circle and this oval you can draw in his knee. So that it's as simple as that. Alright, now for this part you just kind of follow the lines like this, and then you could draw in a couple of toes. So obviously you wouldn't see all of his toes straight away, but just two would be alright from this angle. And in a second I'm going to go deeper into how to draw the actual foot, but you really have to know the anatomy of a theropod dinosaur, and not every feet are the same in every single dinosaur actually. For example, the raptor has this part of the raptor's legs are a little bit shorter like this, and then the body will be attached to that. And well, I'm not sure about the T-Rex because I don't really have a reference right now, but you know where I'm going. So you do have to, it's better to always use sort of a reference photo to draw whatever kind of animal you want to draw. You can use it just to look at the anatomy and how long every part is, and then you can just kind of try and draw it into your own kind of pose. Maybe you would actually be able to see this claw, by the way. So then you would just be able to draw it in whichever pose you actually like to draw it in. So now for for drawing his feet, I might actually erase a little bit just to have a little bit more space to go around and draw what I want to without having to erase this whole thing. So now that you actually know how to draw the leg, which is very basic and very easy if you know the right technique and have the right knowledge to how to draw them. I mean, mostly drawing isn't, well, I wouldn't say it isn't skill, because you do have to be good at drawing accurately what you want to draw with your hand. The eye-hand coordination needs to be very good for drawing, but that's just practice, and that you can always just get good at it by just doing it more. But the most part of drawing is actually knowledge. So you need to know how you can draw certain shapes. You need to know how you can add certain types of shadow. You need to know how to think in perspective and how to think in like it's a 3D object. So normally, well, I mean not normally, but when I wasn't, well, let's say 6 years ago, when I was just kind of starting, maybe even 7 years ago, when I was starting to draw dinosaurs, I just drew them like this. Well, the dinosaur feet again, actually. Let's show it. So what I did to draw dinosaur feet is actually very basic. So this is the kind of shape that I used to draw dinosaurs. So I knew the anatomy, but I didn't know how to add those really three-dimensional looking shapes and stuff, which will make it look a lot better. So yeah, that's just really something that that you need to practice a lot and draw. For example, if you're not good at drawing legs or feet, just keep on drawing them, just like this. Just put a couple of them next to each other and keep on drawing them until you get it right, until you figure something out. I mean, when you're drawing something from a reference or even from your head, when you keep drawing them, you see some things that you didn't see before, and that's where you're going to improve. Just tiny bits over time. So yeah, let's now get into his foot. So, well, let's say a dinosaur foot actually, let's draw it over here. So this is again part of our, well, if it was a human foot, this would be part of our foot as well. And then for example the toe, so this would be like a human foot, something like this, if you know what I'm trying to get at. But actually it's not really different from it. It's just that he has some very sharp toes. That's actually all. So when you're drawing a dinosaur foot, think of it as a human foot first, and then you can add those details. And this part will be quite difficult if you're just starting, or if you aren't very good at drawing accurate shapes and stuff. So this will take a lot of practice at first. So yeah, what you want to do when drawing a dinosaur foot is you want to have the basic shape like this. So you know that this is going to be one toe, but then you want to add another toe over here. So this is actually where it gets interesting, because the third toe you won't be able to see. It will be behind this toe. So what you could do to actually well, make it look good is by drawing, like, if you see my finger right here, I have kind of, it goes kind of like, well, it goes kind of like, when this is my finger, it doesn't just go like this. It's not just a shape like this. It's you have knuckles on them. So let's draw in a couple of them. It's more like a shape like this, and then over here would be the nail, and then you have padding underneath every part of your finger. And that's exactly how it goes with dinosaur feet and with dinosaur hands. So what you want to draw is draw those kind of knuckles on them, and then on the end you can kind of make a shape like that, and then you can, underneath those knuckles, you can make those kind of paddings. But you do need to make the second one, so you need to stop for about over here, and then just draw the second one in, kind of in the same way. And he also has kind of something like a heel over here, so pay attention to that. It kind of sticks out a little, and then it goes into the rest of the leg. And over here you have this kind of ankle. So that's actually the easiest way to kind of draw dinosaur feet. And you can do it on the hands as well. So for example, when you're drawing a hand, so I'm just first gonna draw in his arm. Well, let's just do it like this. This will be the skeleton kind of form for his arm, and then we can draw in the basic muscles, just like what we did with this shape, and do the same thing over here, but now just apply the same things that you learned on doing the leg, kind of the same anatomy. And then over here would be his wrist, so it would kind of look the same. It would be a little bit thinner at that point. So what you want to do is draw his wrist like this. So it would be a dent over there. And then over here would be, his fingers will start. So we're going to make very long fingers, and I'm going to just make two kind of bones like this, and then I'm gonna add a nail. But on a hand, the nail is kind of facing inwards a little bit, and then of course you would need to draw in the padding, but we still need a second finger that we can still see. Just gonna draw two, and you could draw more of those dents, because well, we have 3 of those kind of parts in our bones in our fingers, so you might as well draw 3 bones in their fingers as well. It will look a lot more accurate if you do it that way, but I just know that this will look kind of look okay anyways, so that's why I'm gonna show this thing to you guys. And then just draw a third one over here, just a nail. So that's actually how you can very basically, step by step, draw the hand. So you could use this on a Spinosaurus, or whatever theropod dinosaur you would. Well, if it was a T-Rex, you could just make this one shorter a little bit. And for example, I'll just draw another one. So if you're drawing T-Rex hands, you can just do the same thing, but make them a little bit smaller. So make two joints again, and then just make the nail like this, and then do the same thing over here. 1, 2, nail, and then just a padding for his hand. Well, I'll make this a little bit less pronounced, I guess. And over here would be his wrist, and there you have a T-Rex kind of hand. Well, T-Rex arm, of course, it's a whole arm. And if you don't like this, you could just make it a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna make 3 joints into this foot. 2, 3. Like this. 2, and then do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, and then a nail on the end, and then make very thick kind of padding, and then a heel like this. And sometimes its heel is actually behind something, so you could draw a line like that. And that is actually basically how I learned to draw dinosaur feet. And obviously because I didn't really take my time on drawing it, they didn't turn out as great as they usually would. But this is basically how you need to think about drawing things. I mean, you can't just well, you can, but it will look a lot less accurate. For example, yeah, let's take this for example. So when I draw this, I basically build up shapes. I build up a sketch and I build up some certain shapes to get what I want. I can't just draw it out of my head for like, I'm not gonna watch, I'm not gonna, well, let me look at, first do this. So I'm gonna use this as a reference for what I'm gonna try to explain. So when I'm drawing this, I need to build it up out of shapes. So his leg shape, very roughly. Like this. It's just very roughly done. They are just basic shapes. You can't just do it out of your head and do like a line and start thick immediately, like a lot of artists, well, a lot of people do actually. They start too thick and they can't erase it anymore. So I'm not gonna look at this, I'm just gonna draw it out of my head. So this is actually how it will kind of destroy your whole drawing, because now I drew something without using any kind of shapes. I started very dark immediately, which is very bad because I can't erase it anymore. Well, I can, but it will always be kind of visible, which is really a shame. For like this one, it is so thin that I can still go over it later and refine those shapes. And over here would be his knee. So as you can see, this looks instantly 10 times better already. Just because I used a different kind of technique. And now I'm just kind of messing it up because I'm not really trying to get it right, but so you do need to draw from reference if you want to have it very accurate, and you also need to build your drawing up out of shapes. Otherwise, well, for example, if I'm gonna draw a circle, I want to do it just like this, bit by bit, and just build it up to get the circle looking kind of alright. I can't just do something like this, because when I do it like this and I do it very slowly, watch what happens when I'm trying to connect the dots. You see, I can't get it right because I already did it wrong over here. So if I do it like this, it's gonna look 10 times better because I used a sketch before I did it. So yeah, I hope this video was actually kind of useful for a lot of my viewers. It's not something that I not a tutorial like I usually do, but it might be helpful for a lot of you guys. So that's why I try to explain everything the best way as I could with my understanding of drawing. I mean, I'm not as good as I want to be yet, but I can still help some of you out to understand what I understand now, what I learned throughout a couple of years that I started drawing dinosaurs until now. So, by the way, if you're still watching right now, I'll let you know that I'm planning on recording a king. I'm not sure what it was called again. Yeah, I was right. So it was. I'm planning on drawing King Ghidorah from Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So it will be in tutorial form, by the way. Yeah, so let me know if this was useful. Let me know if you like this sort of videos now and then. And so yeah, leave a comment below, like the video, and don't forget to subscribe. So this was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.